Hello, everybody, and actually, happy Monday. It is 12:16 in the morning, Monday morning, and my name is Chris, and this is Born on 11/9/70, coming to you live. Hopefully, you have had a great weekend, and let's get into the discussion. So, as usual, I wait a second or two to get people to realize that when I do a live show, they can come and view it. Usually, when I do my live shows, it is spur of the moment when I can think of something that I feel I want to share or speak about. And I always find the best time to share your ideas is just when you have them. And as you could see by the title of what you're seeing right here, well, the title of the video is Time to Lead or Be Led. And as you could see on the screen, it says the time for being led should end. And one of the biggest things I talk about is for any system or anything to become better, become new, to become different, you have to let go of the past. You have to let go of the things that are no longer working for you, the things that no longer bring you happiness or no longer give you the things that you've needed, whether that's financially or politics, what have you. And I find the majority of people, because of fear, because of doubt, especially fear of the unknown, we cling to the very things that we want to end. And that could be a bad relationship, a bad job, a bad financial situation, a bad government. There's so many endless ways that that could be. We all do want change, but most of us are so afraid of the unknown that we hold on to what's in the past. And when you cling on to what's in the past, you will never be able to move forward and start anew. So I think, like the title of what you're seeing on the screen, the time for being led should be put to an end. It's had its run. You're talking thousands of years of a small amount of people in power trying to run the lives of everyone else for their benefit, to where we, the general population, did all the work, created everything, put in the labor, put in the effort, and the few profit off of it. And they've used fear because they always want to protect you. They've made sure the majority of people stayed poor because if everybody was financially able to take care of themselves, they would have no need for somebody else to take care of them. And we get used to that. And the idea is we have to, it's like, for example, if your parents, I'm sure for the most part, parents love their children. I mean, there's always exceptions. And eventually, no matter how much they love them, eventually you have to let them go. You have to cut the cord, so to speak, so they could venture out on their own. Otherwise, they'll never succeed. And that's why if you know anything about, I'm sure it's not all bird animals, but just for example, a mother bird eventually will push its babies out of the nest. Because if they just stay in the nest waiting for the mother to come and feed it, eventually it'll get too fat to fly and basically die. So we need to cut the cords of the things that control us, the things that end up hurting us, even though we want them, because it's easier. I mean, we have to be truthful about this. The reason most people like to be led is because somebody else does the work and we don't have to, so we can play. And the more control we give to others, the more we hope that they will do the right thing. And as we could see with these movements, it's not the case. They are not giving us what we want, and we have to be careful about this. My suggestion to everybody is understand your fear. What is it? And you got to be truthful to yourself. What is it that you need for somebody else to control your life? Now, there's been a lot of events that have been happening lately. In the past day or so, I haven't made a video. I haven't wanted to. And honestly, because I'm at the point now, it doesn't matter to me who is president, who is the fake leader of this corporation. It's not going to affect me because I am the type that can do things on their own. And more people should be this way. It's not always easy, and trust me, there are sacrifices that have to be made. If you want to play their game, you're going to ultimately end up losing. You will not be the winners that they are, and they're counting on that. And that is why they thrive on the divide and conquer. And you look at everything now. We have alt-right, you have liberals, you have Black Lives Matter, you have feminist movements, you have so many different things. I could go on for hours of all the different ways that people can go. I mean, you could break it down to Marvel versus DC or PlayStation versus Xbox, Yankee fans versus Boston Red Sox fans. I mean, it could go on forever in unlimited ways to keep us hating each other, to keep our eye off the ball. And every 4 years, or wherever you are in the world, every so often, we pick a new person to say, hey, please control my life in some way, shape, or form. And that's why there's an old saying that you could please all the people some of the time, and some of the people all the time, but you could not please all the people all the time. And that is why no matter who is in charge, quote unquote, there are always going to be people that are not happy. But you can make yourself happy once you realize that you have the power to fail or succeed. And this has happened how many times in our history? The world is not a utopia that we've always had everything. There are struggles, and that's okay. It's a true test. I mean, if you are on a sinking ship and you are in the water and you have no boats to rescue you, you're miles away, you have no idea where you are, it's in the middle of the night. There are plenty of people who will just give up and fall into the ocean and drown. And to stay afloat, you're going to have to put in the effort. You're going to struggle. It's going to be painful. But it's what you put out is what you will get back. The person or the persons that gave up sink under the ocean and die. They do not get to succeed, but that is their choice. It's the people, the few that are willing to struggle, the few that are willing to sacrifice. And we need them to no longer be the few. Because we have had leaders that have been absolutely horrible. We've seen that. It's more and more relevant these days. But we've also, I'm sure throughout history, have had some very good leaders, maybe even very kind and generous leaders. But their agendas are always for the people around them. Just like if you had your family in your house and you had your next door neighbor, who do you think you would pick? If somebody said, we're going to bomb one of two houses, either your house with your family or your next door neighbors, which would you pick? Of course you're going to pick your next door neighbor. It doesn't mean you don't like them. It just means that your family comes first. Now just imagine if it's your house with your family and some home of people you've never met because they live halfway around the world and have a different skin color, a different religion, or a different sexual preference. And somebody said, okay, we're either going to nuke your house with your family or we're going to nuke their house. Without a doubt, you'd pick someone else. That doesn't mean you are not a humanitarian. You're just going to pick your family first. And that's what leaders do. And that's why you see all of these little niches of people that associate with one another. And they benefit off of each other. They help one another. People keep asking, why are people like Hillary Clinton not only not in jail, but still allowed the privilege of being a potential candidate for president? It's because you could see all the people around her who will lie for her, who will defend her, who will cover for her. And I'm sure she is not the only politician in the world throughout history that has had that kind of scenario. Until we decide we need to step back, and that means maybe you might lose the ability to have credit cards. Maybe you might lose that comfortable job that doesn't make you happy, but it makes enough to put meals on your table. Trust me, I have worked part-time since the early 2000s, since around 2001. It's going to be a struggle. It still is a struggle to this day, but I still put food on my table. I still get by. And I'm happy with the fact that I don't rely on anyone else to take care of me. And that's why a lot of the politics stuff, regardless of what happens, I will always make it out okay. And you can too. You have to look in the mirror and have that confidence that it's okay to struggle, because the struggling separates the ones who fall under the ocean and drown and the ones who will stay up all night swimming because they don't want that time to end now. So who are you? Are you the person that will give up and sink into the ocean? Or are you a person that will swim and fight and do everything in your power, no matter how much your muscles hurt, no matter how hard it is, no matter how many other people fall under because it's easier? Will you be the one that stays above? Will you be the only one? You should be proud of that fact. The time to be led should end if we ever want to be in a society where we are all equal. We all are given a fair chance. I'm sure plenty of people have made the statement of how difficult it is now and how unfair it is. I mean, if you look at, and I haven't seen much of this, but there is an Indian reservation that is basically being destroyed, and there have been people that have been injured and maced to build an oil field. Whatever happened to treaties? Whatever happened to honor? You don't see any news coverage. We are the news coverage, and that's why sometimes I get frustrated. Like it's like, to me, I get stressed out that, well, not even stressed out's a bad word. It's almost annoying where I average about 1,000 to 1,300 subscribers every 28 days, and yet I get less and less views each month. So it either means that I must absolutely suck, which is fine, or it's being suppressed. But that can only happen if people end up being spectators more than participants. The more you get yourself involved, the more you control your life, the less you need to be led. And in this world, they teach you that success is based on who you could step over, who you can control, and how much green pieces of paper you can have in your bank account. There's got to be more to life than that. And now that we're going to be slowly approaching the holidays, you already see Christmas lights up in people's houses and people talking about Christmas. And they don't talk about what it should really be. It's peace and love is what I view Christmas as now. My wife and I, we don't put up trees anymore. We'll get a small gift for each other, but that's it. We won't go crazy like we used to, and like how we've been programmed to be, because it makes them money. And you could see that these extremely, and I'm talking billionaire corporate owners, they will set up shops and make the people work for them, and they just sit back and reap the benefits as we complain, as we are unhappy, as we have food that is sickening. I'll give you an example. Last night, my aunt she has a yearly costume Halloween party. I'm not really into those things anymore, but it's family and I don't get to see some of them. So my wife and I went, and they had pretty much nothing but junk food, snacks. And I'll tell you, I really got into it. I was eating the tortilla chips, I was eating the pretzels, and the cupcakes, and the chips, all these different things. And it tasted good. I had, the first time in a while, I've had actually very sweet tea. Pretty much the only thing I drink nowadays is water, almond milk, or green tea. And to have that sweet tea tasted so good. But when I woke up this morning, I had the nastiest sore throat and felt nauseous. And you could taste the difference, because most of you may or may not know, if you've been following my channel for a while, you may know this. My wife is a vegan. And after a while, she kind of helped me convert into a vegetarian. I can't go full vegan. I mean, I need my sour cream and things. It's not that easy. And she didn't force me. I did this on my own. But I've been eating a lot better. We do a lot of like raw juicing and things like that. And I stay away from meats. I mean, I'll have cravings every now and then. But the good thing about that is when I get those cravings, I get sick the next day. It's almost like you purify your body, then all of a sudden you put this garbage in. And I used to live on McDonald's for decades, 2, 3 times a day, every day, living the lifestyle of being a lead singer of a band, DJing, and all these other things. My meals were in a car driving to my next job, and it made me sick, physically sick. And who puts this stuff in the food? What are they putting in the food? And that's what happens when we rely on others to take care of things. And they do it for profit. And if you see the condition of what they do to animals and how they just imagine your normal sized bedroom probably fits, maybe a dozen people in there. Just imagine if 200 strangers were crowded into that room to the point where you barely could move. The stress that would be placed on those animals. And most people don't want to hear it. They don't want to see it. Because, honestly, it does taste good. But it's not as good for you as you think. And like I said, like those sweets and those snacks I had last night, they tasted really good. And I felt like it was getting addicting. You needed more and more and more of it. But today I paid the price. And in a way, I'm kind of glad about that. But again, these businesses are run by us. And if we don't like this system, we cannot keep choosing, oh, well, this side's better. Because if you're for Hillary, you're going to hate anybody that's for Trump, and vice versa. If you're into Black Lives Matter and you're totally into it, and you think no one else's lives matter, you're segregating yourself in one way, shape, or form. And we have so much anger now, so much frustration, so much division. I've never seen it before in my life. And I think, in a way, thank goodness for it, because it means that it's coming to an end. It's like a relationship that you don't want to leave. You ever realize that if you ever had a relationship where you're like, you know what, I'm going to stick into this through thick and thin, no matter what, and if it's not meant to be and it's not good for you, it gets worse and worse and worse until one day you finally give up on it? It's because someone or something cares about us so much that this is becoming almost a joke, to the point where eventually people look at each other and say, why are we being led? Why are we letting other people control us? It's not working. We're broke. They run the financial system. We're not happy with our jobs. They run the jobs. We're always scared. They control the military. We're not sure how to govern. They'll do it for you. Just sit back, relax, don't do any work. We'll take care of you, said the butcher to the cow. Until people see that it is time to live your life, and I mean live it any way you want, without being judged, without harming others, without being dependent on somebody. Now, obviously, if you're handicapped or elderly, or you're a mother that has children and lives on their own, there's always exceptions to every rule. But I seriously doubt every single person on this planet is crippled or at the point where they have to have somebody take care of them. So why? Why do we need that? I don't need a president. I don't need a king. I don't need a mayor or a governor to tell me what to do. I know the difference between right and wrong. That's why I've never murdered anyone. I've never tried to cause harm, not intentionally. I really want I want this to collapse, and not in the way that some people do, because that just means that it's time to restart. I mean, if you look at, like, for example, and I'm sure there's many Walking Dead fans. You could see it all over the internet. Even when I do my videos, you get recommendations. Every now and then you'll see one come up for The Walking Dead. And you see how they're basically getting to the point now where they're farming for themselves. They're creating little communities. They're riding horseback. They're going backwards. But maybe that's just how life has always been, that we get to a point where we literally destroy ourselves. We don't destroy everybody, and we still have to start all over again. The vicious cycle can come to an end when you realize that there's a circle. I mean, if you have a circular driveway, how many times do you have to go around before you realize you're going nowhere? It's like a rat in a treadmill, and those little wheels running as fast as it can and still going nowhere. And I know people want this election so badly. Just remember how many people wanted Obama so badly. How did that work out? Do people forget how much Obama was for change and how we had our first African American president? Even I was fooled back in the days. It's time to live your life. Have confidence. Lose the fear. I'm not speaking to thousands of people, and never will. Whether it's faked or not, I don't know, I don't care. But if there's one person that listens, that's enough. Because like I've always said, one person can change the world. I mean, if you know anything about religion, there's one individual that changed the whole religion. And you don't have to be that person. All I know is, for something to begin, there has to be an end. And that is why, if you look at anything about the universe, they're always talking about everything is in cycles. That's why every morning the sun is going to rise. Every night the sun is going to set. Every month the moon is going to be pretty much in the same spot it was. We're going to have seasons. We're going to have centuries. It all goes in a repeated pattern. And that's why they tell you, if you don't research history, you're doomed to repeat it. But some history needs to be forgotten. Why do we need to hate somebody based on their skin color or their sexual preference? Why? Why should I have to be told to hate somebody because of somebody that lives overseas, somewhere I don't even know anything about them? Why am I supposed to hate them? Because somebody else said so? What have they ever done to me? What have they ever done to you? I have an elderly white couple to the left of my house, and I have a younger black family to the right of me. I've had no problems with either one. Should I like one more than the other based on their skin color or based on their age? And before the black family moved in, there was an old lesbian couple that lived there. Should I judge them because I don't believe in what they do? It's their choice. I never once tried to light a cross on their front lawn or tell them they're evil or they're going to hell. Who am I to judge somebody? Who are you to judge somebody? And yet we continually do it because that's what we're told from birth. And we're taught in schools how to sit forward, put your arms on the table, be quiet, do what you're told. They always talk about how you ring a bell when you want a dog or an animal to come eat. Well, what did you hear every time when you went from one class ending to the next class about to begin? What did it go start and end with? A bell. And men of domain, this is one of the problems. If you want to label people in that category, you're never going to succeed. Because you cannot, like, I've seen so many people, they say things like, oh, blame the Jews. Well, I seriously doubt that every single person on this planet that is Jewish is out to dominate and change the world in an evil way. And this is the problem with this world. We are taught to hate and categorize. Instead of seeing people as individuals who have individual thoughts, you have to be lumped into a category. Why? So you could be easily controlled? So you could be in this little segment of the population and not actually have the chance to communicate with somebody else based on it to see if they're a good person or a bad person? It's like, oh, I can't trust them. That person's a Jewish person. Or that person's gay. Or that person's black. Or that person's white. Or that person's female. So, I mean, if you want to label categories, then you're never going to see the change that you may or may not want. I don't know the motivations of even people that come here. And if you want to categorize people, you're never going to move in a better place. Okay, and Kurt Mason, I mean, again, dude, I don't know if it's your game to play games, but when you say things like, I don't hate the Jews, but the fact is they do control the media, Hollywood, and Wall Street. So you're saying every single person in media, Hollywood, and Wall Street, every single one of them is Jewish? Is that what you're saying? And see, this is what's happening. See, what's going to happen now in the conversation here? People are going to fight one another. You're falling into the same trap, so congratulations. Kurt, I'm going to tell you right now, Kurt, I question, because you tend to come here and say some very silly things, and you say you're here to, for the right reasons. There's a lot of categorizing here, and that's part of the problem. When somebody asks, am I a Republican or a Democrat? I'm neither. Why do I want to be pigeonholed in one direction or another? I'm a human being. That should be the only thing. Am I a good person or a bad person? Only I know that. And if people want to go here, even in the comment section, and categorize people in groups and make such blanket statements like all particular group is bad, then you're never going to leave the old system. So I guess you must enjoy being controlled, whether you do it because it's entertaining or you reap the financial benefits. And anybody here that gets financially benefited to say things that they don't really believe in, guess what? You get a few coins, and the people that control you, make billions. Is that how you want to live your life? I mean, after all, it is a choice. Keep separating, ladies and gentlemen. Keep categorizing people instead of seeing everyone as a human. Regardless, Kurt, and I'm using him as an example, regardless if you're a good person, a bad person, a liar, a fraud, a fake, a humanitarian, a savior, you're still a human being. Never forget that. Yeah, and that's probably one of the best statements you just made, Kurt. It says, I'm not saying any group is bad. There's only one race, and that's the human race. Thank you for that. I wish more people would actually think that way. But instead, we're programmed through the media and through our schools to hate one another. They teach you hate. How would anybody know about slavery without being told it? So that's the contradiction where they say, if you don't research history, you're doomed to repeat it. But yet we keep repeating it even though we are researching history. So is it the repeating of the history due to the fact that we're being told about it? How would I know to hate somebody who lives in Russia or Afghanistan or Vietnam? I've never been to any of those places. When I grew up, why did I fear them? Why did I want to hate them? Because we were told to. Do you think we're being run by loving people? Whether somebody has the right voice and says the right thing and says the things that you want to hear, like they say in religion, by their deeds you shall know them. We pretty much can have Hillary on a platter with her deeds, but also look at Donald Trump. Is Donald Trump full of love? Think about that. Do you think this is being done out of love for the world? Is he better than Hillary? It seems that way on the surface. But again, the separation and the division is what keeps us from uniting a humanitarian cause, the human race. And to me, free will, and I've said it so many times, free will gives you the choice to do the right thing, the wrong thing, or nothing. There is a reason why we all feel pain. There is a reason why we feel sadness. It's to learn what we don't want. So we try and do the opposite or something different to no longer feel that way. And you don't know if you don't want it unless you experience it. So why do we view it as a bad thing? If I cut my hand on something sharp, yeah, it sucks that I got hurt and I might do damage, but I'll learn never to do it again. How many centuries have to go by with having another leader after another leader all around the world before we get They don't work for us. They don't care about us. They'll tell you that, but actors are pretty good at fooling you and lying to you and making up a play. That's why you go to court to play their game. Make sure you do your civil duty. Make sure you pay your taxes. Make sure you put on that soldier's uniform and follow those orders, even if there's something that goes against everything that makes you human. We'll justify it. We'll make sure you say, I killed that person for the right reason. Well, I'll tell you this, you better hope there isn't a real God the way they tell you that they are, because you're in a lot of trouble. Justify it all you want. Wrong is wrong. And that's the problem with this world. People are so much into justifying what they do and make sure it feels right and sounds right, and everybody, or the most people, give you the approval so you can say, I did this and it's okay. If you spend your life hurting others for whatever reason, justify it all you want so you sleep better at night, you are still wrong. And that goes for every leader in this world. That goes for any NSA agent that may be listening to this. You're just doing your job. Well, if somebody said my job was to take a human being and bash their head through a rock because it would save somebody else's life, I wouldn't do it. It's wrong. I know better. And I would never join the military knowing that one of my jobs could potentially be to take the life of another human being. Now, there's a difference. If I was being attacked and I have to save myself from death, and that means I had to end the life of someone or something that was coming to cause me harm, that's different. But I would never wish harm on anyone else. Well, wish it. I'm not. That's so untrue because I've wanted to fight people. I've said things, so there's a difference. But I've never done it. I've never wanted to kill anybody. I don't want to know what that feels like. I don't care how easy it is, because it is easy. You take a gun, you put it to somebody's head, you pull a trigger. That doesn't make it right, and that's why I try and live my life, and you should live your life too, of just because you can doesn't mean you should. And this election is going to prove in years to come that no matter what choice we make, it's the wrong choice because it's not our choice. It's what everybody else is telling you have to be. You have to be either for Hillary or Trump, or wherever you are in the world, whatever leaders that they put in front of you. They're not real. And look at the media. The media is becoming a joke at this point. They're all beautiful people, perfectly straight white teeth. They want to make sure they're dressed appropriately, look sexy, or, look very intelligent with their suits and everything. And all they do is spread lies to you with a smile on their face, telling you everything that you're supposed to hear. And yet you look at the people in the media, the people in the alternative medias, they're just normal, regular people for the most part. At least I know I am. I have no agenda. I'm not making thousands of dollars or millions of dollars and having fancy equipment to make sure I suck you in by, oh, look at these pretty pictures. That's why most people listen to my videos for about 5 or 6 minutes. I'm not entertaining as far as visuals. I'm here to speak what most people should need to hear. You need to look in the mirror and say, I'm me. I don't have to be perfect to like who I am. Society's meant to tell you if you're not beautiful, there's something wrong with you. If you don't have lots of green pieces of paper in your pocket, you're not successful. Well, bullshit. You're successful if you save a life of something that needed you. You're successful if you care about more than yourself. You're successful if you just don't hurt others, even though you could. That to me is true success. Not winning an Academy Award, or hitting a home run, or creating another controlling law that has 500 other laws attached to it that you'll never hear about until years later. You want to keep being led, you're going to be led. Just to the slaughter. You cannot be free if you need to ask permission, or somebody else has to tell you what your freedom is. True freedom means you could literally take a rock and bash somebody's head in. But you know what? You shouldn't do it because it's wrong. People would be absolutely terrified of freedom, real freedom, because then you could do whatever you want. And there's plenty of people out there that would do the wrong things with their gift of freedom. So this has to come to an end if you want a new beginning. If you don't want a new beginning, cling on to it like an ex-boyfriend or an ex-girlfriend that treated you like horrible. It treated you bad because you were familiar with it. You were used to it. Keep saying you're just doing your part. You're just doing what you're told. You're just doing your job. You're just following orders. You're just following the crowd. You're just fitting in. And wondering why you need to be led and why you're not being led to where you want to be. Because how does anybody know you better than you? Why should somebody else lead you when you should lead yourself? Nothing wrong with listening to advice, or getting somebody's opinion, or seeing different points of view. But make no mistake, if somebody else has to dictate what you do in your life, you're not free. You're not given your choice to do as you please. Because true freedom means you could do anything, including the wrong thing. Question is why? I will never murder somebody. Now, if somebody came to me and tried to kill me, and I had no choice, if somebody's going after my family, and it was either them or me, well, it's going to be them. But I would never say, you know what, I feel like going out of my house today, and I think I'm going to take the life of somebody, because I can, or I want to see what it feels like, or maybe somebody paid me to do it. Wrong is wrong. If you don't know the difference between right and wrong, then there's no helping you. And that comes to something as simple as trolling, where some people find pleasure and entertainment or they make a good financial living off of hurting others or silencing others. And that's why I say shame on the people like YouTube and the people in the NSA and all these people that are a joke. They're the real terrorists because they want to silence us. They want to take away our freedoms. They want to have you wave your flags, pay your taxes, cheer for them, do their jobs for them, and tell you how free you are. They perfected slavery. They took the chains off of your hands and from around your neck and said, here, you're free to run around the pen. It's a bigger slave pit. And we cheer them. This time it'll be different. How many times have you heard that in your lifetime? The older you are, the more you realize. If you're too young to understand that, it's because you don't have the wisdom yet. And that's okay, you will, but you can only get wisdom through experience. You can't get experience when you're young. That's just how it is. And that's why most people that talk about the truth or try and help people are older. We no longer are programmed. We lose that programming. I don't need to be led. How about you? Why do you need Trump? Why do you need Hillary? Why do you need whoever you are? Why do you need them? Are any of them ever going to visit your house? Are any of them ever going to plow your fields? Are any of them going to tuck you in at night? Are any of them even going to care or even know you exist, other than a number on a piece of paper of how much they could steal from you by calling it taxes or fees or loans, whatever words, just like, oh, we don't murder people, we target them. Oh, those people didn't die because we went and shot some people accidentally. They're collateral damage. Make it sound nice so we can sleep better at night. And we allow it. And these are what our leaders are doing. Because whether Trump is in, whether Hillary Clinton's in, whether John McCain is in, Obama's still in, whoever's in, the next day, plenty of people will be dead. And I don't mean there's a nuclear war or anything. I mean, there'll be someone shooting somebody. There'll be a war fought. There'll be another assassination attempt or another bombing or something. There will be plenty of people the next day that will have not led the night because they starved to death or didn't get the medicine they needed. And even the medicine that we have is so bad. I mean, you look at something like a pill for arthritis where the possible side effects, one of them is possible death, and they are allowed to sell this. We're living in a world where you question authority, you seem to be a crazy conspiracy theorist instead of somebody that's just tired of the lies and tired of the conformity. I will be a leader way before I will ever be a follower ever again. And I hope you feel the same way. So I want to thank everybody for listening to what I have to say. You don't have to agree with it. You don't even have to like it. But my thing is for you, if you don't like what I say, then why are you here? There's obviously a reason. If you are here, like for example, I have plenty of people that will pretend to be my friend. I've seen it so many times where you'll see a comment and you think it's a very friendly one, and after a while you notice the one or two thumbs down that I'll get happen right after these individuals leave their nice friendly comments. And I've had people that do that. My thing is, if that's the type of person you are, why? There's always reasons. And people are so afraid to ask why these days. They just want to know how, when, and what. They don't want to know why. Because you might get an answer that might make you have to do something. Maybe you do need that. And I think it's time. I want this system to crumble. I want it to start over. And yes, it will be a struggle. There will be sacrifices. It may be even painful. But you know what? Like they say, you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. So thank you for taking the time to listen to what I had to say. If you want to leave comments and everything, if you want to share it, that's up to you. I want to thank everybody that took the time to leave their comments, whether they were doing it to be friendly and caring, or some that did it to start fights, or just to cause controversy because that's entertaining to them. Oh, hey, that's on you. Thanks for watching. Have a great night, and I'll see you the next time I make a video. Take care, everybody.